I think let's get to the rapid fire. Fareed, you know the format. Just have fun with the answers. I've got a lot of questions. I should have less, but I really couldn't. So have fun and try to keep the answers a little bit short. And have fun. If you get a call from Trump to join his cabinet, do you accept it?
No.
Why?
Why?
I just don't respect him as a human being. For me, it's a matter of character. I mean, he just embodies a certain set of values that I wouldn't want my son to grow up emulating, and I would find it very hard to justify, being willing to do that. It's not even about policy. Policy one can make adjustments, but character is very hard to adjust.
Will NATO survive 4 years? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
On a scale of 1 to 10, define the relevance of the UN in 2024.
Can I go negative on the scale?
Who's more powerful today, Elon Musk or Bill Gates?
Oh, Elon Musk. Elon Musk may be the most powerful private individual in American history.
Okay. And will he likely to remain so in 2028?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, unless he and Trump have a fight, they are both famously volatile people.
Yes.
And so, there may be a kind of lover's tiff.
Fareed, you did your PhD from Harvard under Professor Samuel Huntington. If you were to do a PhD today, what would the subject be?
I still love what I did, American foreign policy, international relations. The logical answer should be artificial intelligence, since everybody now wants to get into artificial intelligence, even though most people don't even know what it means.
Okay. Fareed, which country do you bet on to win the chip wars, if there is one winner?
The US, without any question.
What's the number one real fear of a Trump presidency and the number one imagined fear of a Trump presidency?
That's tough. My number one fear is the withdrawal, the broader withdrawal from the world, and the kind of lack of the turning in of the generosity of America towards the world. The US has always had this attitude that, we can have a peaceful world in which we do well by allowing others to do well as well, rather than a kind of Banya-like attitude that says we're going to squeeze everybody else as much as we can. The number one imagined fear, I think the dictatorship idea and the words like dictator and fascist, I think, are thrown around much too loosely. And I think the US has very strong democratic institutions that make that unlikely.
Okay. So we'll play a small game. How will Trump deal with this issue, and how should Trump deal with this issue? And I'll say the issue, you give me the answer. So how will Trump deal with US dollar, and how should he deal with US dollar?
Trump will try to do the impossible, which is to have tariffs, to spend a lot of money, to borrow a lot of money, and still have the dollar go down because he likes the idea of the US being competitive. It's impossible to do those. You should deal with it. My view has always been the US should pursue what it regards as the best economic policy for it. The value of the dollar is a price. Whether it goes up or down is largely irrelevant, and sometimes it'll help exporters, other times it'll help importers. The US president should not worry about that. He should do what's good for the economy. The dollar will end up where supply and demand place it.
How will Trump deal with crypto, and how should he deal with crypto?
I think he should have a more benign attitude towards it, with the exception of cracking down on crime, and I suspect that he will. I think that this is an area where the Democrats, again, made a mistake. Why did they come out so strongly against crypto? There are 50 million people in America who own crypto, and they came out against it. And who is on the other side? If you think about this in political terms, what is the constituency of people saying, we need more regulations on crypto? Nobody. Most people don't care. 50 million people who own it feel one way. Why are you taking a position?
Okay. How will Trump deal with, and how should Trump deal with Iran?
He will try to exert more pressure and maximum pressure, all the things he said, which is, I think, basically the wrong approach. We already have lots of pressure on Iran. We should maintain a certain amount of that pressure. But we have to have a serious strategy towards a country. You have to also have some carrots for good behavior. You also have some, if there's a box which has 4 walls, no windows, and no doors, you give the Iranians no incentive to in some way moderate their behavior. So, that's the problem here with Iran right now. Where should it go? What is the, if you were a rational Iranian statesman, where do you have incentives to go? And the broadly speaking, the right in America, but Trump in particular, have this policy which is, kind of a fantasy that we just put this pressure on. The Iranian regime will collapse and Thomas Jefferson will rule Iran. That's not going to happen.
So what will he do and what should he do with regards Israel-Hamas?
I think that I would distinguish between what Israel is doing in the north, in Lebanon, and with Iran, where I think it's reestablishing deterrence in a very important and valuable way. The Iranians have been getting away with murder in terms of lobbing, through Hezbollah, these missiles at Israel, terrorizing the population in northern Israel. Completely unacceptable, deeply destabilizing. The Houthis are doing this in the Gulf, diverting shipping. The Israelis are doing the right thing in reestablishing deterrence and stability. I think in the occupied territories, I think he should work towards a two-state solution, which he will absolutely not do. Two people who are really, if not brothers and sisters, at least cousins, have been separated by this, this very cruel divide. And if you just think of it in human terms, it's a real tragedy. And India is the much more powerful country. It has the capacity, it has the leeway to do something, to try to search for some kind of generous reconciliation here. I realize what I'm saying is not going to happen, but you're asking what should it do? Look, if you can end up in a world in which India and Pakistan had much greater people-to-people ties, economy-to-economy ties, sports, I think that would completely transform the subcontinent of India. And frankly, that whole issue of Pakistan becoming China's agent would be deeply compromised. It would be very difficult for even a military government in Pakistan to act in a deeply anti-Indian way, because the two peoples would be so intermingled and intertwined that it would be impossible. And I think that it's very sad the way in which the countries have been divided, the cities have been divided. I mean, Delhi and Lahore are really twin cities, and the fact that they've become, one has become essentially completely one way and the other is another way. It's a very sad thing for, my father spent his entire life wishing that there had never been a partition. I don't know if that was ever, feasible, but the one thing you can do is make these lines less important for people.